should happen. Hi, Crystal. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good
I'm
to
doing
see
great.
you.
It's good to see you, ma'am. I just want to say to everyone, welcome to Conversations on the Patio. Just want to let everyone know that I am a licensed broker and they do not take any responsibility for what I say. So don't go calling people. And with me is the fair and crazy, incredibly intelligent Crystal Mitchell. And I'm so glad you're able to join me. It's actually our show, so I don't even know why I'm kicking this off like this. We created it, we do it, it's our thing. So
It's our thing. It's Jevon and Crystal.
there you go. There you go. So I just want to ask real quick, how was your weekend? Because I didn't get a chance to talk to you this weekend.
I don't think I've been so crazy busy. I think, as I mentioned earlier, I have a client that's going, he's public, but he's on the penny stock. So he's getting ready to go to ring the bell at the New York Stock Exchange. So
Cool.
trying to get everything together so he can get that to the SEC. And it's been challenging. And as always, everything has to be done like yesterday. Yep. All at one time.
Yep. Yep.
And accounting doesn't quite work like that.
Yeah, I guess so.
My clients seem to think I can push a magic button and 2 years worth of whatever appears magically in the software, and just click another button and a report comes out.
We all think that. Everybody thinks that about you. Why should you be any different?
Right, exactly. So there you go. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. Actually last week and a half. And so other than that, it's pretty cool.
Cool.
Yeah. And yourself?
I've been good. I'm actually going to put my phone on stun here so that it doesn't make things happen. I forgot to do that.
Okay.
I've been really good. I've been, I have a pretty blessed life anyway. You're in it, so how could it be bad?
Oh, isn't that nice? No, that's definitely a heart softener.
So I'm good. But yeah, pretty excited. Had a great weekend.
I do appreciate that.
You betcha. Well deserved. Had a pretty good weekend, nice and mellow. Excited about the topic, even though it's not a topic that I should be excited about, but I think it's good to talk about it. So definitely want to get right into that. And as you know, it's a conversation, so I'm hoping you can, feel free to speak up as you usually do. So before we get started, though, let me read your bio.
Actually, I think it's a great okay.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I think it's a great conversation, because I know I have this conversation all the time, and sometimes this actually can be a deal breaker for certain people to get married in later ages, is because of the implications that go along with divorce and marriage and older couples.
Yes, very true. Very true. Very true. Okay, so I'm going to quickly read the bio, and then let's get right on to it.
May be me.
Oh yeah, you're kind of fuzzy.
Okay.
So while you're doing that,
well, let me see something. Let me see. Today is the day.
Oh, now you look much better.
Over. Much better. Okay.
Well, you're getting there. I adjusted the screen a little bit.
Let me see
you're better now. Oh. There you go. Hello? Crystal? Okay. Well, I'm going to read your bio, and then hopefully you'll be back on. So with me, everyone, is Crystal Mitchell, my friend and colleague. Crystal is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions. She's co-director of Recycling Black Dollars. She's also the co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, a weekly online radio show. We'll call it That Other Show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College. She's a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor in FTE, and also a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Welcome, Crystal Mitchell, and thank you again for being here. Oh, you're looking much brighter.
I am happy to be here. Sorry about my technical difficulties today. I have no control, it seems.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. So today, let's jump right in.
Okay.
This started because a friend of mine sent me an article to read. I won't give you the name of the magazine. They don't pay me to do that, so I won't do that.
Okay.
But it was very timely, and I'm not exactly sure how he found it. But the article was about women hiring a financial advisor when they're going through the divorce process. And as you know, that's just a very stressful time to hire someone, either like myself or even a divorce certified financial advisor, because you're already stressed. It's already tough. It's already not some place you want to be. And then to bring a stranger in and start talking to them, that's really difficult, because when you talk with a financial advisor, as you know, when someone talks to you, you're opening up the kimono, right? You're letting it all hang out. And that can be embarrassing, because you've already done that a couple of times. You've done that to the attorney. You've done that for the judge, perhaps. You've already done that a couple of times, and now you got to do it again. So that's tough. Before we get started, I just want to do some preliminary things, and that is, number one, it's very difficult for you to do something and keep your spouse from getting your money. So often when I do one-on-ones with people, they want to know, how do I keep my spouse from getting my money? What can I do? And when it comes to a retirement account, a 401k, a 403b, something like that, if your money's on the table, your money's on the table. There isn't a whole lot you can do about it. So don't even try. What's going to happen is, when you'll go before either the judge or the mediation person, they're going to put together what they call a quadro. QDRO. It's a qualified domestic relations order. It's what comes from the judge, the mediator, that says person X is going to give person Y X% of their assets, and they're going to do it in a particular way. This is the part that's really kind of tough, because they have to say it as in, they're going to give them 50% of these assets on this particular day. If they don't, then things get wonky. You got to go back. It's not a good situation, because most folks that have a divorce have at least one retirement plan that's involving mutual funds. And those mutual funds, when they get split up, they need to be split up by very specifically. I'll just put it that way, very specifically. What's the investment? How much? What day? Dollars to donuts, you're not going to get something that says tomorrow or right now. You're not going to get you're not going to get a quadro that says that. You're going to get a quadro that says, as of X particular day, 30th of March, this participant will give this spouse 50% of these particular assets, and away we go. And that's the way we have to do it. And the people that are holding your assets, be that a large company or a small company, the company that you're invested with, those folks will divide up those assets. Once they become yours, they're yours. Or once they become your spouses, they're your spouses. And she or he can treat them just like they made the contributions. It's no different. They can, and this is good to get the clarity on, they can leave the monies where they are and start their account and do what they have to do and fall under the same rules that you would fall under if you were there, or if you had earned the money. So the money becomes theirs. It's good to take that money out of the account that it's supposed to come from. So the quadro that piece of paper needs to go to the mutual fund company that holds the money or the account that holds the money, and then they will divide it up, and then the spouse wants to put that money in their name, and it will act just like they made the contributions. Does that make sense?
Wow. So even if you have a prenup?
If you have a prenup, I don't normally deal with those, but whatever the prenup says, if the prenup says assets that were belonging to the person before this this union came to be, those don't get included in what happens after the union came to be. If the judge or the mediator or whoever it is, whoever is the presiding authority, if they look at that document and say, even though your prenup says X, you're going to give Y, that's the deal, right? I mean, that's the power that you give them. So if you have a prenup, you definitely want to put that in front of that authority so they can say, okay, this is how we're going to do this. Because the folks, we're going to divide your monies up X way. Because the folks at the company, at the institution where your monies are being held, and I'm talking about a 401k or a 403b or 457, the folks that are holding that, right, that holding company, they don't know you have a prenup. You haven't assigned it to them. They don't know, right? They have no idea of that. All they know is they get this quadro, this qualified domestic relations order that says X is going to be given to Y person on a particular date, and then all the interest after that. Does that make sense?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that's one thing, is you have to make sure that whoever's mediating your process, and I hope that's the right way to say it, whoever's in charge of dissolution of your union in a legal sense, that person has to make sure they're very specific, and you have to make sure for your own protection that they're very specific on what are the funds that need to get split up, released, what have you. Because you don't want to be in that situation, like you're saying, where you've got a prenup and things don't work out. So, for example, let's say you start working at the company in 2001, but you were married. You didn't get married until 2010. And between 2001 and 2010, you made a lot of money, and you put a lot of money away in your plan. And since then, now that it's 2020, the two of you, you've amassed a great amount of sums, but you were smart enough to get a prenup. But you didn't tell the judge that you got a prenup. Or you certainly didn't tell the institution that you got a prenup. So when they say 50% of your assets, and you are saying, oh, that doesn't include the money that I had before I met my spouse.
Right.
If it doesn't say that, it doesn't say that. I used to have a boss that would say, if it's not there, it's not there. So you want to make sure that that's in writing. You want to make sure that if that is in writing, person A gets 50% of person Y's assets as of this day, as of this fund. Make sense?
Yeah. And that's both spouses. So both of us are working. Both of us have been at a company for X amount of years. We both have so much in our retirement plan, in our even if we even had our own portfolios, right? So then we came together, and now we're one. So do each individual have to split, or how does that work? Because I know
go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Because I know, like with Social Security, and I guess this makes the assumption that Social Security was set up so wives weren't working, right? Wives were homemakers and husbands were, and that you can get half of their pension plans,
right,
and their Social Security. So, but that was then. Women work now.
Yes. And
women are independent.
Yes.
So, and I do know it works in the reverse, because I have some male friends that didn't have what their wives had, and their wives worked as an employee, good job, and they got half of her pension.
Right.
So did they, everything laid on the table. This is what you had before. This is what I had before. Now we're going to split everybody's down the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
If that's the way it goes. I think what a lot of people don't understand about divorce from the position of myself, someone who's been in the financial services industry, is that it's whatever is written on the judge's quadro.
Oh, okay.
Right. So
okay.
if the quadro or the meteor or whoever, if the quadro, the qualified domestic relations order, that piece of paper that directs where the monies go, if that piece of paper says to me, the institution, because I don't know what happened when you got married or didn't get married, or when the cat bought the mouse. I don't know, and I really don't care, right? I'm just one of those non-feeling institutions that says, where's the money supposed to go? Let me do that. That's all I want to do. So when that quadro comes, that qualified domestic relations order, when that comes, I'm going to do exactly what it says. I have no idea what it should say. And I really don't want to know what it should say. I don't want to get all up in your business. I don't want to know what you intended. I don't want to know about the kids that should get X. I don't want to know about the kids from the pre-existing marriage, or the ones that you really love, or the ones that call you daddy. I don't want to know about that. All I'm looking for is what's on that qualified domestic relations order, the QDRO, right? And it's pretty plain nobody wants to read the plan document. It's pretty plain in the document. The QDRO runs the program. So as a person getting divorced, be you male or female, I have to put that in, you have to make sure that whoever you need to tell, your mediating partner, your attorney, if you have a prenup, they've got it. If you don't have a prenup, they know. If you get that QDRO, you have to make sure that it says what it's supposed to say, which may or may not be how you feel about the situation. But understand this: when you get that prenup, and you have a certain amount of time to get it done, and you get that prenup, you cannot make changes in your account to have that person get less money. Right? It doesn't work that way.
Right? Well, it doesn't really matter, right? Because no matter, you can't move it out until whatever you move it out in, it still is in your name, right? Exactly, and so it's tied to you. Even if you moved everything out of an investment, put in the cash cow, you still got to pay for the half of the cash got to go out. So it really doesn't really matter, and you're not going to dissolve your retirement plan. Just well, I imagine some people have. Old.
Right? So you can't start another one somewhere else, right? It's not going to work. So many times people would, connect with me when I was doing one-on-one appointments, and they would say, how do I make it so my husband can't get this money that's in my 403B? And I'd say, or your 403BA, right? For your 401k. I'd say, well, you really can't, because when that order comes back, it could be back before you thought you even had an issue. Right? You may have found out about the issue on 10/1, and the order says as of 9/12, that's when the money's going to be split up. Or and I've seen them go back a year or so, as of XYZ year, this fund, the money will be split up 50% or 75%. Or, you may have something where one is 75 and one's 50 and one's 25, however that works, right? Everybody's relationship is different. So don't try to fraud your partner with the financial institution. It just makes your life more horrible. Don't do that.
Yeah. So I think I was saying as my internet was all crazy earlier. Um, I think that's a big decision to make when you're getting married past the age of 50, and thinking those things through. I would think that that's a big conversation that one should have. If you because by 50 you're already kind of established on your side. You've done whatever you're doing. Now you're coming together. And also, if that person is a divorcee, the male or the female, then that pension plan is already, retirement plan is already spoken for, would it not be?
No, it's all about the quadro.
Oh, so but again,
All about the quadro.
if you divorced and moved on, I mean, are individuals going back to complete that quadrant after that, and then okay, so for my next, if I get married, I mean, because there's two scenarios to that, right? So I got married, I got divorced, that's set in stone. Now I'm marrying another man or woman. What does that look like for the second? And that's probably the one that's going to be the death do you part, right?
Yeah,
So
that's when things get ugly. That's
yeah,
when
right.
things get ugly, right? Let's say you
Yeah.
have, I think, rarely do I see that situation where the second divorce is an issue. I don't see that very often. That might just be me. I
Okay.
do see the situation more often, not regularly, but more often, where the person gets married and they don't change the beneficiary info.
Yes.
Right. So you get married to someone, and then you get married to someone else, but you never change the beneficiary. So your employer and your financial institution, they still have your old beneficiary on your account. So when you pass away, the employer sends a copy of your death certificate to the financial institution. The financial institution, they get together, and then they say, "Oh, we need to send a check to so and so because that person is the spouse of the employee." Right? Or the spouse of the employee may say, "Here's the birth certificate. I'm the beneficiary. Send me the check." Right? So and so has passed away. Okay. Well, if you're not the right beneficiary and the institution sends you the money, it's going to be very tough for the right fiduciary, the right person, beneficiary, to get that money. And no one's going to help
Yeah.
you. The financial
No.
advisor is not going to help you. The institution's not going to help you. They don't have the money. It's gone. You've got to figure out a way to get that. So you want to make sure that whenever you have a beneficiary, whenever you join an account where you can designate a beneficiary, make sure you do that. Be that children or parent or godparents or your trust, however it is, it's really a good thing to think through because you don't want the wrong person getting the money for whatever reason. I mean, it could be a mistake where you had a divorce or you had and things happen and you're all friends, but this person can't get the money and this person's got the money and then they decide to split it. Ick. That's not good. Oh yeah, you
Oh
won it,
yeah,
but it
that's
came to
all
me.
kind of ugly.
All kinds of ugly. So, but getting back to the divorce thing, in our minds we think, well, since I did X, then I should get Y, and person may say, well, she did Y, so we should get her X. And I mean, not all divorces are horrible that way, right?
Right.
Uh, I even have a friend of mine who's in the business where the um, the man in the situation, he hired my friend as a financial advisor, and he called his ex up and said, "You need to talk to my guy because he's really good at what he does." Because he still had great care for this woman. They just couldn't live together. But he didn't want her to go
Okay.
to harm, and he didn't want her to make decisions that
Well, that
weren't
was
going to be
nice.
good to her. So
That
he
was nice.
called him up. So yeah, my friend got 2 clients out of that deal. So When it comes to a qualified plan, 401k, 403b, 457, that kind of thing, the quadro is the deal, and you want to make sure that if your prenup is appropriate, that you let everybody know, because once it's on that quadro, it's done. It's done. So the quadro is going to hit the university, and you cannot defraud your client. Once you find out that your client's going to get something, or once you find out that you're going to owe, you can't start up another beneficiary. You can't start up another 401k. Doesn't work. You can't put money in a special place. Doesn't work. You can't sell the investments and do something with them.
So does
you can sell them, but we're going to get the money from, you can put everything in the money market, and then start investing all your other money someplace else, right? But if that quadro says you get the money that's in this particular account and only this account, and you only get 50% of those assets in that account as of this particular day, then that may be one way to protect your other assets. But the problem is if they say as of XYZ day, even though you pulled the money out, we got to go back and look at XYZ day.
Yeah.
Right? Because that's when it was there. And then we got to give you 50% of that.
So this is a thought process then. So that quadro, so just to remind our audience, so the quadro, so, a couple, and this is kind of interesting, it's like, because a couple is having problems, right? And it's not always an easy process to make that decision that it's time to be done, right? Because you got to go through counselors and angriness and fighting and all that sort of stuff. So in the midst of all of that, you need to call your professional, retirement specialist, your lawyer, someone, and say, hey, we don't look like we looking shaky right about now.
Yes, we're looking a little shaky.
We're looking a little shaky. We need to have a conversation about, and of course the layman doesn't know anything about the quadro. Right.
No.
So, but you do need to call your advisors and say, hey, my wife and I, or my husband and I are going some shaky times. It doesn't look good for the future. What do we need to do? Is that the conversation that needs to be had?
That's it exactly. Okay. That's it exactly. And the reason for that is, and I'll just read here. I'm sort of paraphrasing this, but the article suggested a certified diverse finance attorney, or any attorney actually. Certified divorce financial advisor.
Okay.
Can help you overcome the emotional turmoil so you can get back to the stability that you need, right? Because money's very emotional, very emotional.
It is.
And without someone to sit there and say, hey, you do have the wedding ring. You do have the engagement ring. Lots of people don't understand that that's usually a gift. It's not in the proceedings, right? It's usually a gift that the man gives to the spouse. So, or it could be the man's ring, right? Some wedding rings are 5, 6, 7K.
And some more than that.
And some are dramatically more than that. That's usually a gift. It's usually not in the process. And then there are people that have engagement rings, and those can be expensive as well, right? That's usually considered a gift, and that's usually not in the process. So you get to hang on to that. And often people put them in the closet and on a chain and, look at them and throw darts at them when you could just give that to somebody who's going to use it or something like that.
Right.
Same with the rings that go to the man, right? So consider that as an option, because so many people, especially women, you know how I feel about women, especially women, they just get ripped off in so many situations because they hand this business over to the male in the relationship. And when stuff goes sad, then they're in such a terrible spot. Then they got to talk to somebody like me.
And a lot of times, Jevon, Depending on how traditional the couple are or is,
Yep.
a lot of times, if they've been married for a long period of time, everything to deal with the financial security of the family is in the husband's hands. A lot of
Yes.
times, the wives have no idea. They might cursorily know we have this much money in the bank because they can actually go see that. But if he's working at his company, she may not have accessibility to what his pension plan, if he happens to work for a public company, what his stock options are. She's just assuming that he's going to do the right thing by her because she's the mother of his children. And that doesn't always happen. And when you talked about this subject, I did some research, and usually the woman comes out on the short end of the stick and finds herself living below poverty, just trying to take care of herself, and then he's fine, and she's the one that's struggling to live post divorce.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. She's saddled with the kids. He
Mm-hmm.
has some payments that he has to make, but you just don't know about all that extra stuff that comes up, like with teachers. They get monies to get supplies, but they spend a lot of their own money to make things happen. And there's all that time and thing you've got to do, and you just cannot put a price on motherhood. It's an ever expanding, growing thing,
It is.
and
It is.
women especially find themselves having to figure out, how am I going to make these ends work? And I think you said a very, very, very important thing when you said, "Hey, the woman comes out on the short end." And I think if I can say it again, you said she becomes the mother of his children,
Mm-hmm.
right? She's not
Mm-hmm.
the mother of their children. She's the
Mm-hmm.
mother of his children.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit more of the paternalistic way that we look at society, right? And how come if she's the mother of his children, they're not living with him? They're actually living with her
Her.
for less money, right?
Money. Right,
So,
because even if
and
he gets so they split up the retirement. Usually he gonna get what he gonna get, she gonna get what, but it's not enough for her to take care of all the new found expenses, because it's different when you have all that money coming in one household, right?
yes, it is.
And then all of a sudden he's now paying you a spousal support, maybe, but more child support. And but that doesn't account for inflation, that don't account for any of that sort of stuff. And now if she gets the house, she's got property taxes, she's got the burden of all the finances. He just like, okay, I paid you this and I'm done. I'm gonna pay
Yeah.
you my little $400 or $600 or $1,000 a month, but she didn't pick up a whole bunch of expenses.
Yeah, most undoubtedly, right?
Mm.
And not only has she picked up a bunch more expenses, if she hasn't been involved in the situation, if she hasn't been a major part of the finances in the home, which I always suggest that women do. I always suggest that you sit down with your husband, with the attorney, with the financial advisor, and you know where the insurance policies are, and you know what they say, and you know who the financial advisor is and what his deal is. And even I would say, even if you get your own financial advisor, you need to know what his thing is, right? And
Mm-hmm.
even if you trust him enough to let you look, or if he trusts you enough to let you look, this is a good thing. If you don't trust him enough to look, then I would say you got an issue.
Yeah.
If you trust him enough to make the decisions, but you don't trust him enough to look at those decisions or to have some input into those decisions, you're in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You're in
Mm-hmm.
trouble. And it's not I mean, he could die tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not because you don't love him. It's not. You need to know what's going to be happening, because the last thing in the world you want is to have someone come up to you with a bill, or to talk to somebody like myself. And I'm nice, but to talk to someone like myself when you don't know what the heck I'm talking about.
Right, exactly.
You've never
And
heard the
I
word.
also think even not just divorce, look what happened in 2020 with so many spouses losing women losing or men and women losing their spouses, but didn't know anything about his retirement plan, didn't know anything about anything. And then all of a sudden thinking you have a lifetime to make this happen, and then realizing that you don't have a lifetime and you don't know what pieces you're supposed to know.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point. Because quadros don't take a lot of time. You can get that quadro on Thursday and have that thing done by Tuesday or Wednesday. I mean, it just takes paperwork to process. So if you need the money,
right?
I mean, if you need to make that withdrawal, right? I mean, that kind of stuff can happen, but you've got to make sure that you're ready for it, right? You got to make sure that you can do it.
So, as a financial advisor, so do you have those when you sit? I know you sit down with your clients and discuss that. But are there any overall like seminars or something? I know they do retirement seminars, but is that inclusive of a retirement in the event of death, in the event of divorce, and also in the event of death? What the spouses both need to know independently of each other.
Well, like you said, it's kind of tough when things are going the wrong way. You're like, oh, maybe I should go to that seminar. I've never seen that, right? But typically, I've never seen it from the financial advisor's point of view. Let me do this here and let's see here. Okay, I've never seen it from the financial advisor's point of view. We should do a seminar on death and divorce. I've never seen that. But certainly, if you're working with a good financial advisor, he's number one, meeting with the wife, not so that she can stick it to you when you get divorced from her, but just so she has familiarity for when you happen to pass away. And he's meeting with the kids. He's getting to know them so that they trust him, so that we don't have this stranger telling us what to do and what's up and we don't know what's going on, right? That's not a good place to be. So it's always a good time, good reason, in my opinion. I'm a bit liberal, but in my opinion, it's always a good idea to make sure that the spouse and the family have an appropriate amount of knowledge, that they know where the book is, they know where the names are, they know what the terms mean, they have some understanding. You don't have to understand an internal combustion engine to drive a car, but you do need to know that the gas has to go in the gas tank.
Right.
You do have to buy the tires and things like that. So you need some understanding, and you can't be afraid of it.
Yeah.
You want to embrace that.
I think that should be a conversation that both need to be sitting down together when they hire you, when they choose you, they need to both be sitting there, because again, as we said, that a lot of times the women get the shorter end of the stick, and vice versa as well. If the wife is the one that's the high powered exec and have the most she's got it going on, she has her own business, because a lot of women have their own businesses, and do extremely well.
But I gotta tell you, a lot of women do well in their business. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. A lot of women do well they don't come see me.
And they really should, because I was doing a webinar the other day, or actually my show, The Business Zone, that I do on Friday. We were talking about women, like in the last 4 years, there have been about 41% increase of women-owned businesses. And the future is projected for women to and successful businesses. They're not making, there's an inequality. If you and I had a business, you as a male, don't know why, we could be in the same business, you're gonna make more money than I do.
It's the dimples.
Is that what it is?
It's the dimples, Crystal. You're never gonna fight the dimples. You're never beating the dimples.
I see. I better go get me some dimples.
You got to get some dimples, and then
Give
you'll
me
be
some
all
dimples.
right.
Go to the dimple store and get some dimples.
I stayed up all night getting mine. Teaching good stuff.
But there are more and more women that are creating very successful businesses, and once they bring in employees, they double and triple their revenues, and so I think that's an untapped niche market for you guys.
Well, I'm all about having female financial advisors out there because some women just feel more comfortable talking with a woman than they do with a man. And so I definitely encourage more female advisors, more minority advisors, more advisors that of all kinds of walks of life, because you just never know who you're going to connect with. And all of our clients are becoming extremely diverse. So we have to do that on this end. We have to meet that need and find a way to take care of that business. So you're making an excellent point. All to say, hey, find who you're comfortable working with, and even if you're not comfortable working with them, understand where you are, what position you have there. And we've got some other points to go into this article. I don't think they're all that important, but just to remember that when you do if you do find yourself in that situation, if your marriage isn't all strong, if you feel it's not, or even if you feel that your spouse is very sick and you're not sure how things are going to go, or any number of situations. And I had to do the same thing with my parents. I have the one spouse, because your money can become a very emotionally. You don't want to share that. You don't want to put it out there. You don't know the goals. Some people deal with money in very different ways. But the spouse, if you have to get in there and understand it. And I like the idea of a book. I'm looking at this article, and it suggests that 95% of women who go through a divorce don't connect with a financial advisor. And the interesting thing said, that women want to have stability, right? They really want to have stability. Well, I have a newsflash. Most people want stability, and they want that. They want that retirement plan to be a big part of it. So you have to get involved there, right? You have to get involved. And if I were a spouse, maybe that's why I'm not a spouse. If I were a spouse, I would want to make sure that the beneficiaries, especially, that information was clear, because the last thing you want to do is fight with people you don't know anything about.
And unfortunately, that is what happens in the demise of an individual. Is everybody jumps into it, and they're all fighting for whatever is left over because they were not clear. And I think, even from making sure there's trust involved, making sure there's wills, but really understanding probate, all of that stuff, and the retirement plans. Those are really serious conversations that couples have to have, and they don't have. And then a person dies with none of those things in place, and it's just a nightmare afterwards. Yeah. And especially if there's a spouse that has been a homemaker all those years and completely dependent upon her husband's, her spouse's income earning abilities. Yep. And now she's out there with no skills, no transferable skills. Let me put it that way. She has plenty of skills, but she doesn't have any skills that the business world sees as transparent, of skills that can cross over. That's the bottom line. Although
she's got tons of skills, or she has a marketing issue.
She don't have any working skills, and so when it comes to finding that job, she's usually at her wit's end. I think there's definitely space there. Don't know how you reach out to them, but I would imagine just reaching out to business women who are, they got their business part together. Now it's time to get that personal side together.
Well, there's, like I said, there's the certified divorce financialist advisors that you can connect with when you become divorced. I'm not one of those people, but that's
Okay.
what they do. I
Okay.
think any financial advisor will actually be able to help if you just reach out to them. I would say, the best time to get introduced is before you need them. So if you are a woman and you do have a business, yes, give me a call. We will set up your 401k plan. No plug intended, but um, understand that you need a retirement plan and you need to talk to someone about that and get yourself a financial advisor. It's just a good thing to do. The good thing about financial advisors is that they know attorneys, they know, you know, estate people, they know all the people. They have a little bit of all that understand. They know the insurance guys. They know all of that kind of stuff. And so you can have that private conversation with them that says, hey, here's where you are, right? And long as you know where you are and you have some people that are on your team, you just can't do better than that. And if you have a spouse, let them know, I want to be on the team. I want to know what's up. I don't have to know every little thing, but I want to know because, as I said, your spouse could leave tomorrow. I mean, you never know what can happen. The person could pass away. The person could get sick. The person could get kidnapped or lost. They're out in
Anything
the
can
woods
happen.
hiking. Anything can happen. And if they really care about you, I'll just go out and say it because it's the show that you and I are doing. If your spouse really cares about you, they'll make sure you know as much as they can tell you. As much as you can, as much as you can handle, they will know. They will let you know. They'll bring you in. I mean, lots of people say, well, that's why I have a husband. That's why I have a wife. I do this. They do that. We work together as a team. Jay Tom is saying, no,
Yeah.
no, don't do that.
Things happen, and it might not be as devastating as divorces or death. It could be one parent, one, and this is really what's going on in today's society. One gets, starts to get mental deficiencies, Alzheimer's or dementia, especially Alzheimer's, and it can happen so fast and quick in a hurry. And you're still in the same situation.
Still in the same situation.
And that person can't remember any of the stuff that he needs to tell you. He can't even tell you who his financial advisor is.
Exactly. It's so true. I have a friend whose father suddenly became dimensional, if that's the right word, and couldn't remember short-term things. And someone was actually coming in trying to tell them what their short-term memory was, and they didn't have the capacity to say, I thought I did something different. Right. So there are those kinds of situations too that you need to be aware of. Just to make sure that the right people are taken care of. Okay. Right. Wow. What a topic.
It's a great topic because those are things you don't, I mean, you think about, okay, I got to get the attorney. I got to get that stuff in place. But what about all this? You're connected on so many levels, right? Not just the home, you're connected in retirement, and there are laws and things in place. And I never heard of a quadro. So even the terminology, right, of what you need to do and the importance of having that so that everything is lined out. So I think this is a great topic, Jevon.
Every now and then I get a good one.
I'm not married, and I tell you, at this age, I'll be like, no, we can be companions. You keep yours, I keep mine.
There you go. All right, that sounds like it might be a plan. Sounds like
I think it's a conversation that could be a deal breaker. I mean, and definitely a conversation that should be had when you're talking financials as a couple. It should just not go with the day to day of what you're doing. It should go in what if, and I know we don't want to have those what if questions, right? You don't want to be the what if guy, or gal or woman. You want to, I'm one of those, and I'm a numbers person, boy. Let me see everything. I need to see everything.
What am I getting into?
What's happening here? What do I need to pre-plan for? That's basically.
I think that's the best way to go. I really do. I think you're spot on. I don't even know if I want to add to that, except perhaps to say if you can't have that conversation, you really want to think about who you're jumping in bed with. You really, really do, because people don't tell you things. You just don't know. You just don't know. Yeah. And with that, go ahead.
Okay. Was that all the points in the article, or
that was it?
Okay.
Was
all
it.
right.
Pretty much. Yeah.
All right, ladies and husbands and wives, it's time to sit down and have some deep conversations and lay out some documents and inform each other.
Yes, it's so true. And I think we put so much pressure there. Even me as a financial advisor, I'm saying, you got to do this, you got to do this, make sure it happens, do this, talk to these people, get the plan, get the book. You can make it an easygoing, loving, caring conversation. It doesn't have to be a horrible experience. It shouldn't be. It should be a point of discovery, a point of, oh, this is where we are. Guess where we can go. I mean, it can be that way. It doesn't have to be, oh, onerous, right? I mean, it can be fun, and definitely introducing your children to the right person. That's a good thing. You have to think about it that way. So many times we get emotional about money, and we don't want to speak the truth, and we don't want to tell people what's actually going on. But in actuality, this is our team. These are the people that we care for the most. We need to let them know, and if we don't, that's a problem.
I did a workshop years ago on assets, taking care of your assets in your senior years. And at first, I didn't get a lot of response. But then what I did was I changed it, and I changed it to the children of the parents. And man, it was big. And so they came in and recognized that there was a lot of things they had not done. They had not gone back to revisit their life insurance. They had not gone back to revisit their liability insurances, their any protection, and their lives had changed. And so it was quite an eye-opening experience. And then using the kids, they were able to sit and have a conversation with their parents on just this topic alone. Just maybe mom and dad, we need to sit down and have some conversations. Sometimes your adult child can get far more done.
Yeah. Very much so.
Yeah.
Well, ma'am. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and bring this to an end. I'd like to read your bio one more time.
Okay.
So everybody knows who's talking. Everybody knows me, Jevon Thomas, retirement plan advisor. But Crystal, my friend and colleague, is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, co-director of Recycling Black Dollars, co-host of the Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, a weekly online radio show, that other show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and also a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Thank you, Crystal, as always, for being on the show with me and being my friend and colleague. And I'm going to sign off now. Did you have some last words?
No, I think we covered it. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you're sitting down with your advisor and discussing the future, whatever that future may be for you. It's important to have these conversations.
Well said. Thank you, Crystal.
You're welcome.